Okay guys, so I've always wanted to own a pair of JBL 250 Ti speakers, but I really didn't want to spend the 35 to $5,000 American that they go for. One of my friends has a pair. The cabinets were quite beat up. He repainted them, refoamed all the drivers. He said 3,000 bucks Canadian. That's a really good offer actually. But I just could not justify spending 3 grand on another pair of speakers when I already have so many pairs. So I kind of just let that fall through. But that's all changing because I'm going to build my own. And I'll show you how. Because I found these. I'll insert a picture up right here. Yeah, they're not JBL. They're not JBL drivers even. But the cabinets, they were made to be looking like 250 Ti's. And that's where we're going to start. All right, so I've got the cabinets stripped. Now in the photo I showed you before when the drivers were still in there, I knew what those drivers were. The guy offered me the speakers for $250, and I knew most of those drivers were KEF. And I assumed if he was using mostly KEF drivers, the other drivers were going to be quite high end as well. So there were 4 mid-ranges that were KEF, and those were these guys here, which are the B110s. So there's actually 2 of these B110s, and then there was 2 SP1003s, which are essentially the same driver, but the B110s are made for KEF in-house speakers, and the SP1003 KEF made and sent to companies to use in their own speakers, such as Rogers, the Rogers series stuff, and other brands. As for the tweeters, there's 4 of those as well, also KEF, and they were the T52s. So I got 4 of those, and just those 8 drivers alone are worth about, I'm gonna say like $800 Canadian. So I only paid $250 for the speaker. So I knew just right then and there, those drivers will pay for more than the speaker. Now for the mid-bass driver, they were Visonic, which is David Visonic. And this is it right here. Pretty good size magnet. And these were used in their ambassador speakers. And from what I've found online, people also use those to replace their ADS 810 woofers that are the Braun speakers, because they're pretty much the same. And for the 15-inch woofer, they were kind of a no-name brand. I couldn't find a brand name on it. Stamped tin. They had a decent magnet. I'm going to sell those for about $100. I think for the Visonics, I can probably get $200 for the pair or so. So all in all, we're looking at around at least $1,000 in drivers. And I only paid $250 for them. I don't know what you're thinking. Why are you selling the drivers? Why didn't you just leave it? Well, that wouldn't be a JBL speaker. It would not be a 250 Ti clone if it was all KEF drivers and whatnot. So I'm going to use all that money to source JBL drivers to make my very own JBL 250 Ti clones. So that's the plan. So I just got these guys about 2 days ago. So the plans are still in the making and, changing every day. But at the moment, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So for the drivers, I'm thinking for the tweeter, if I can find an actual correct 250 Ti tweeter, I'll use that, of course. If not, I'll use another JBL titanium dome tweeter, something like from the L5, L7, or XPL series. For the mid-range, again, if I can't find a correct 250 Ti mid-range, I'll use a mid-range from something similar, just like I said, the L5, L7 series or something. For the mid-bass, an 8-inch JBL woofer. And then for the 15-inch woofer, I'm thinking, of course, JBL 15, but I'm thinking actually doing it as a plate amp, so I'll make that powered. Now for here, of course, the 250 Ti's didn't have any drivers on the side like this. So I could either fill this in, but I had another idea which I think is much cooler. I'll get a plate cut out, so a metal plate, and then here I'll have a JBL horn driver or super tweeter, something like the 075 horn. And then at the bottom here, have a potentiometer so I can control the volume, just so it's not too harsh. Now, for the crossovers, I'm thinking use a crossover from like an L7, JBL L7 or L5. That will control the tweeter, the mid bass driver. Just do a 3-way hookup there. And then, as I said, for the 15-inch woofers, get some plate amps, something like a Dayton Audio 400-watt plate amp for each cabinet, so they'll be powered. And then for the horn tweeter, just run it straight to the binding post and put a capacitor in line and cross it over somewhere higher in the frequencies, maybe like, I don't know, I have to do some research, but 8,000, 10,000 hertz or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the drivers. If you guys have better suggestions for the drivers or crossover, shoot some down below. Just remember, I do want to make these into JBL clones, hence why I'm not using the KEF drivers. So I'd like to stick to JBL and as close to the 250 Ti's as I can. As for the cabinets, I mean, clearly whoever built these built them to look like 250 Ti JBLs. And if they didn't, they unknowingly made them look very similar. The construction is very high quality. I mean, rounded corners, real wood veneer, inch thick MDF, and every single compartment in here is separate. So there's actually 3 compartments. The mids and the tweeters are separated by inch thick MDF, completely sealed. The 8-inch mid bass is its own, you can see there, its own enclosure. And same as the 15-inch subwoofer. So this guy really built these well. They do have some marks, as you can see, where drivers have been pulled out and whatnot. It's chipped up. There's some scratches and they're not perfect. But that doesn't matter. I'm going to be wood filling them and painting them gloss black. So they'll look just like the 250 Ti's. I'll put a picture of that right here. So yeah, that's sort of my plan so far, and that's what I'm doing to build my very own 250 Ti clones. I think I'm going to be able to do this on the cheap with all the money that I get from selling the drivers that were in there. I'm hoping to be able to build these for no more than like $700. And I think that would be awesome. Now, if you have any ideas or, think you have a plan that's better than mine, feel free to comment. This is all just happening in the moment. I'm all ears. All right, guys, thanks for watching part 1 of my JBL 250 Ti clone build. I'm very excited for this. If you have any ideas or you want to follow this build, please subscribe and just continue commenting down because this is only part 1. I'm sure there's going to be a few parts to this, and I hope you enjoy the ride. Thanks for watching. See ya.